my name is Ryan, Hiring Optimization Guru, and today we're going to talk about how reducing the drag or friction in your hiring process will actually maximize your results. Make sure you stick around to the end. I'll talk about how specifically to improve your job ads in order to drive massive applicant flow into your hiring process. All right, so when I was in college, I was surrounded by a bunch of guys who wanted to become pilots for a living. In fact, almost every roommate I had wanted to be a pilot. They were going through flight school while I was studying boring accounting. So I went ahead and studied flight as well. I spent a bunch of money, I got my private license. It was the scariest thing I'd ever done. Taking this little tiny plane and trying to put it on a runway while the wind was blowing and everything else was going on. But one thing it taught me was about one of the biggest fears in flying, which is icing. And basically icing is when it gets really cold and wet and ice forms on the wing of an airplane. An airplane requires smooth surfaces so that the wind flows across it without any tension, without any drag, without any friction. And when ice forms there, it creates friction or drag. It disrupts that airflow. And honestly, it makes a plane fall out of the sky. That might freak a lot of you out, but if you go to the airport during the wintertime, you're going to spend a bunch of time sitting there while somebody sprays the plane down with special chemicals to keep ice from forming. It's the biggest worry that I always had flying when it was cold. I didn't want the plane to fall out of the sky uncontrollably, right? Well, guess what? Planes rely on smooth air and lack of friction. And to be honest, so does hiring. If you want a good performing or an optimally performing hiring process, you need to reduce the drag and friction in the process. And generally, to be honest, HR has put a lot of drag and friction throughout the entire process. So if you want to increase your performance, you need to go through step by step and remove the drag or friction. Act like a job seeker, walk through the process, and see where that drag or friction is. Let's start off with requisition. I know collecting a requisition is important. You're trying to make sure that you're legally compliant and you've gathered the information you need from the managers. But if you ask too many questions, then that creates drag. It causes the managers to take longer to fill it out, which means you don't get started on hiring. How about the job ad? As you add more requirements and more bullet points in the ad, those things cause drag or negativity to the job seeker. If that job ad is a boring job description, it's creating friction. It's not definitely creating excitement. And so that slows down or even causes people to leave the process. When somebody's applying for a job, every question that you ask that is unnecessary or that the job seekers don't have access to the information causes drag or friction. Even if a job seeker is on a job board applying and they can't apply with their profile, but they have to leave the job board and go to your career site to apply, again, that causes extra steps or drag or friction. It reduces the number of people who actually get through the process. When you wait for the next step, when somebody finishes the application and then you just sit on the thank you page and you don't initiate the next step in the process to drive momentum, driving momentum would be the opposite of creating drag. And so finally, like communication. Using email instead of text message creates more drag in the process. It doesn't facilitate momentum. It doesn't drive the speed. And then the final one is decision drag. The idea that maybe we didn't get together beforehand and decide how we were going to evaluate candidates, how we were going to pick the best one, what we were going to do at that point, having the offer prepared and ready to go, having decided on the amounts. All of those things either create drag and friction, or if you're proactive, speed up and make the airflow smoothly through the process. So that's it. 6 easy things to do to increase the results of your hiring process that all have to do with reducing the drag or friction as you go through. Now, I promised you I'd have a special offer, and what it is our guide on how to write killer job ads. I'll be honest, I wrote that and it's all based on focusing on the job seeker. And the more you focus on the job seeker, the more it reduces the friction and the drag or the reasons why a job seeker wouldn't want to apply for your job. So that's it. Click on the link that's included in the email or in the video or on the blog post that you're looking at with this video, and you can download our free guide to how to write a killer job ad. I hope that you find a lot of success from what you learned today. Otherwise, good luck hiring.